Hi, welcome to iChef Kitchen. Well, good evening, actually. You know what? I did the same thing you did today. I had a fabulous lunch in the Atelier restaurant, and just as I finished lunch, I picked up one of these beauties. This is incredible. It's boxdchef, and you know what it is? It's time to have dinner. You know, it's home. It's 7:30. Oh, it's been a long day. I'm starving. I'm sure you are too. But what the fabulous thing about it is everything is in this box. It's incredible. Look at this. It's just been, you know, it's been waiting for me all day. It's all ready. It's all fresh. This is so cute. Look at this. I have a pen. I have a little, a little wooden spoon. And look at the ingredients. I've got everything I need to make my dinner. And tonight's dinner is chicken pad thai. So let's see. I've got spring onions, fresh green beans, fresh coriander, even all the little sauces. Look at this. I've got pad thai sauce, roasted peanuts. That's interesting. Soy sauce. All the little condiments I'm going to be needing. Chilies, garlic. A nice clove of garlic, fresh lime, and fresh ginger. That's going to make a huge difference, the fresh ginger. Chopped suey noodles. That's all part of the great pad thai. Bean sprouts. Just never ending here. It's like a treasure chest. And here we go. I've got my fresh chicken. I've got everything I need for 2 portions. All right, so that's fantastic. I can even take notes if I want with my little pen. So perfect, perfect. Now, you know what? We're all doing this together. I'm sure you're the same. You're tired. Everything's going on at the house at the same time. But really, let's just follow this step by step. And you'll see that really in less than 30 minutes max, your dinner for 2 will be ready. And you're ready to go to the table. And everyone's going to be so happy to have this wonderful dinner. So we're here to do this together. You know, really, ask me any questions that you want. I'm here for that. I'm really here to help you, get yourself organized, answer all your little cooking questions that you could have. And your questions are going to come right here on my little iPad. So that's just really easy. I can answer directly, and that way you really, you won't be stuck on anything. We can go forward really step by step. I have some other things too. Look, I have the recipe. That's perfect. The recipe with the pictures. I've got all the explanations. Very, very easy. We'll get to this after the class. I'll just put it behind me. So let's get started with the first steps. The first steps is going to be sort of like the way we prepare things in a restaurant, meaning we're going to do what we call our mise en place. We're going to sort of get all the veg cut up first. Look at this fresh cilantro. Put it aside. So then when we're ready to start the cooking process, everything is really easy. It's just right before my eyes. So it's just a question of sort of adding this, adding that, cooking at the right temperature at the right time. Look at these little spring onions. Those are perfect. Love those. Fresh green beans as well. Perfect little fresh green beans. The beauty of this is that everything has been measured out. It's all there. I don't even have to worry about it. The portions are perfect. I don't even have to sort of, weigh things out, get it all out. The only thing I'm going to need at home is just maybe a little olive oil. That's the only thing that's not included in the pan, in the pack. Maybe a little salt and pepper, but I think for the pad thai we're not going to be needing it. I've got my noodles, and I've got here all of my little condiments and the chicken. Now, I think the first thing we should be doing is get a big old pan of hot water up and running. We're going to start boiling the water because we're going to need some hot water to firstly cook our beans, and also to cook our chop suey noodles. I'm going to keep these little bags. I'm sure these will come in handy for something else, no problem. So let's get just a good pan, fill it up in water. And we're going to bring that to a good boil. Now, while the water is boiling, we're going to start prepping all our vegetables. That's really something that you can do as well at home. Preparation, preparation. The better you're prepared and sort of organized in the kitchen, the easier things will be in the end. That way you're sure to go to the table and everything will be hot at the same time. So let's start with our green beans. All right, we're just going to cut off the ends. These are really clean. These ones are very, very nice. Really nice, fine, maybe French green beans. They're wonderful. So let's just cut off the tips. See if you've got some tips that need to be taken off. And we're going to cut them in 2. We can just rinse these off quickly as well. And we're going to cut them in 2. I think that'll be a good size. We don't want to have too big of a piece of green bean in our dish. Okay, a couple questions from Home Cook. How long is it going to take to cook? The whole thing? The whole thing is going to take literally about 20 minutes max. We're just going to be using little pieces of chicken. Or maybe you're speaking of the green beans. The green beans, 4 minutes. We want them to be really crunchy. Really, really crunchy. So that's going to be very rapid. Remember, they're also going to be cooked again with all the rest of the pad thai. So 4 minutes for the green beans, and the whole dish is going to be about 20 minutes max. So let's just cut these in 2. I think that'll be plenty. That's perfect. Put these aside. wait for the water to boil, and in the meantime, we can start chopping up everything else. Here I've got some fantastic spring onions. Now the beauty of spring onions is, in this little tiny thing, we've got so much flavor. You've got the white part and you've got the green tip, which is very, very flavorful. So what we're going to do is we're going to use both of them. A portion of it is going to be sort of sauteed and cooked in the, beforehand, and the rest of it we're going to just sort of put on the dish right before we serve it. Sometimes the tips are a little bit wilted, so we're just going to take off the wilted edge of our tips. What I'm going to do is sort of cut them just about in the middle, about 1/3, 2/3. Put these aside. And we're going to start just by finely chopping the green tips. The green tips are going to be used on the top of the dish when it's all ready. It'll give such a fresh, sort of perky flavor. Let's just do this. We're going to slice these really finely by keeping the tip of your knife on your cutting board. Make sure you're doing this on a cutting board as well. Very important. It's a little bit safer to be cutting everything nice and flat on a cutting board. Get your fingers in and just sort of hold on tightly to the tips as you go. Smells so fresh. It's just incredible. Another thing you might want to do is just get a couple little bowls available, even if you've got some little plastic bowls left over. That way you can just clean up everything off your cutting board and put it aside. That's for the green tips. Now let's do the white part as well. Same thing. Same technique. Just keep the tip of your knife right on the board and go ahead and just slide the blade along. That's going to give so much flavor. Little tiny spring onions, these are great. So flavorful. They're delicious actually raw or cooked. Fabulous in salads as well. Our water is almost to a boil. We're just going to dump our green beans in there, get them up and running. You see how we're sort of doing 2 or 3 things at the same time because we're so talented. No, that's what you need to do at home as well, just to save time. You're not going to do one thing, sort of stop, and then start another. No, we've got the water boiling. We're going to get our, our beans up and cooking, and at the same time, we're chopping up everything else, getting all of our prep work done, and that's perfect. Okay, those we're going to put aside as well. There we go. Okay, now what else have we got? We're going to need to chop up our cilantro, our coriander, but we'll do that right in the end, just right before we're going to use it. I want it to stay as fresh as possible. Let's peel our ginger. Let me show you a great little technique for that. Fantastic technique. We need fresh ginger. Fresh ginger is just going to make this dish explode in flavor. It's so flavorful. When you buy ginger, make sure to see, if you can, break off a little portion of it to make sure it's nice and white on the inside. It shouldn't be too wrinkly. If it's too wrinkly, it's really too old and it's going to be kind of dried out. You can keep it for a long time at home, so don't worry. If you have to, get yourself a big piece of ginger, you can keep it in a cool area in your kitchen, no problem. No problem whatsoever. So let's peel this by taking just the tip of our spoon. You just sort of scrape it along. This is the greatest technique. It goes so fast, so much easier than using a peeler or a knife. And this way, as well, you sort of, you save a whole lot of ginger. You're just taking off only the skin, only the peel, and you're keeping all the fantastic fresh ginger right underneath there. All of this goes right into the bin. We want to keep our cutting board as clean as possible. Can you show us how to hold your fingers when you're chopping so fast? Yes, I will. We're going to do a lot more chopping. We're going to chop the ginger, and we're also going to chop our little chilies as well. So no problem whatsoever. For the ginger. Okay, the ginger we're going to start out by just cutting it in slices. So what you want to do is sort of just pinch the ginger like this, and you're going to really roll your fingers underneath. Basically what's going to happen is the knife is going to be running along just this tip, the flat part of your finger, not your fingertips obviously, just right here. And that way you're sure not to cut yourself. So that's the beauty of it. Again, on a flat cutting board. That's very important. None of this, none of this sort of cutting in the air like this. No more of that. Whatever. You're going to learn to cut on a cutting board. So here we go. Keep the tip of the knife on the cutting board. Lift it. And push by sliding, just sliding the blade. We're going to do little slices, easy slices like this. And then we're just going to chop it up real fine. Again, we're doing just a great little pad thai here. Pad thai is a sort of a fantastic street food, Thai street food. That's usually done very quickly. They're going to chop that up real fast. So we're just going to do that without too much precision, no problem. My water's boiling. That's a good sign. I'm going to go ahead and throw in my green beans. 4 minutes for that, real quick. So we'll just watch it, and then you know, again, we want to keep them sort of crunchy, sort of al dente, because they're going to cook again with the, you know, with the noodles and the chicken and everything else. So let's keep our eye on it. If you have a little timer, go ahead and put a timer on, no problem. And then we'll just strain those. Now let's go with our ginger. The ginger, you're going to, again, just really hold on with your fingers. Make sure you tuck your fingers under. Keep the blade of the knife, the point of the knife on the cutting board, and we're going to cut just little strips like this. You can practice this. You can practice this little technique at home. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. The easier it gets, as always. Now, I've got, look at all this ginger. This is fantastic. I love fresh ginger. Absolutely love it. This is going to give such a really, really fresh flavor. Now, we're going to chop it up a little bit more finely. Now, let me show you another technique. Look at this. Just sort of bunch it up onto a little pile. Keep the point of your knife, the tip of your knife, right on the board, and then you're just going to cut through it. Again, we don't want a big, huge piece in your mouth. You know, that's not very, no, it's not a very nice feeling to have this big, huge piece of ginger in your mouth. So let's just chop it up real quickly. For this, you need good knives, huh? Go ahead and invest in a couple good knives at home. 2 knives, with 2 knives, you can do it all. A chef's knife and a little paring knife, and you're set. There we go, ginger, that's perfect. Put that aside. Our beans are almost ready. In the meantime, let's go for the garlic. Nice clove of garlic. I love garlic. Absolutely love garlic. Garlic's going to give so much flavor. It's one of these things that gives a ton of flavor with just like this little tiny thing here. One little tiny clove of garlic. And we're just going to, you know, give this nice explosion of taste. Let's peel it. We're going to cut it open and make sure we take out the green germ. It's kind of a funny name, isn't it? A green germ. Very important. My beans are ready. That's 4 minutes. My beans are good. So you know what we're going to do? We're just going to take them right out of our pan. Look, I've got this great little colander here that's going to enable me to keep the water, because you know what? We're going to use this water to cook our noodles as well. My beans are nice and green, but let me show you a great little technique to keep them even greener and crunchy. What you're going to need to do, I'm just going to pull this off the heat right now. Let's put them in cold water. And you know what? Just tap water. You know, you don't have to go out and get all of your ice cubes, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just going to cool them down in cold tap water. And that, you know what's going to happen with that is that's going to fix the chlorophyll. So the beans are going to stay nice and green and crunchy. We can leave those there just for right now. A little question from Paul. How many portions are provided and being prepared? 2 portions. There's enough ingredients for 2 portions. 2 very generous, delicious portions. So I'm cooking the 2 portions. I'm going to plate 1 portion in the end. But that's fantastic. So it's for 2. You know, if you need for 4, you can order for more people, et cetera, et cetera. But the portion here I have is for exactly 2 people. Perfect. Let's pull this water back onto the heat. I'm going to bring it up to a boil. And we're going to use that to cook our noodles. So there we go, using the same water. It's been flavored with the green beans, so we're really good with the flavor, plus being economical and environmental because we're using the same water. Okay, let's take our garlic clove, cut it open. If you can see it, sometimes it's kind of hard to see here. The germ is called a green germ, but this one is white. So it's a white germ, actually, but it's right in the middle. You're just going to take it with the tip of your knife, slide your tip of your knife under it, and pull it out. Why would I go to this extra precaution? It's just because it's very, very bitter. The germ in the clove, of garlic can be very, very bitter. It's also sometimes a little bit hard to digest. Not a very nice, you know, not a nice aspect of the garlic. Let's go ahead and throw our noodles into the boiling water. Now these are chop suey noodles. Chinese noodles, or what we call chop suey noodles. Look at how handy those are. They're just in nice little individual portions, which is fantastic. They're with wheat. They've added wheat flour. Very, very tasty, but major precaution here, red light, only 4 minutes. Don't overcook these, they'll become totally mushy. And remember, they're going to be stirred up with everything as well. So 4 minutes only, all right? So let's just dump them in the hot water. Keep our eye on it. You know, do your little mental, your mental timer. 4 minutes only, or go ahead and set a timer. And then we'll pull those out. Let's go ahead and chop up our garlic. Exactly the same technique. We're going to keep our knife blade right on the cutting board. Going to gather all these little pieces of garlic, and we're going to do the same thing, exactly the same thing we did with the ginger. Keep the tip of the knife on the board and just pass through it. All these cutting techniques just take, a little bit of practice. And once you've mastered them, they're so easy. And really, it's so much easier than pulling out a whole bunch of utensils and different machines to do this for you. Look at that, it's done. It takes 2 seconds to do it, and we're set. Putting all this aside, that's perfect. Now, let's give a little stir to our noodles. 2 more minutes for the noodles, and we're good. Let's take our chilies. Chilies, these are fantastic. Red Thai chilies. Absolutely love these, but they're very, very hot. Pad Thai is hot. We need a little flavor. We need a little heat in these dishes. So careful. Careful, careful when you've got chilies on your fingers. The first thing we're going to do is just cut off the edges, both ends. We're going to open it up in 2. And we're going to pull out the seeds. The seeds are what really, really sting. They're the hottest part. All right, look, I've got these seeds all over my fingers, so I'm going to be very careful not to rub my eyes right now. Or you're going to see a very crying chef right now if I rub my eyes with them, that's for sure. So go ahead and be careful with those. 2 or 3, as many as you want. I think there are 3 included. If you like it really fiery, go ahead and put in the 3. I think I'm going to put in 2. And I may use 1 just for the plating to make it look sort of pretty in the end. Don't forget your noodles. You've got to have that mental timer going. 4 minutes. Go ahead and get rid of these seeds on your cutting board right away. And we're going to chop up our chilies really fine. Same technique as before. I told you, you're going to be doing a lot of chopping. You're going to be so good at this. You're going to get better and better at this with our pad thai, that's for sure. There we go. Okay, that's perfect. I'm going to put this one aside. I'm going to use that, I think, for the plating. We're good for the noodles. Let's have a look at these noodles. Again, don't overcook them. You'll really regret it because they'll become just all mushy and squishy and, really not the texture that you want. They're still a little bit firm, but that's exactly what I want. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull these out exactly as we did with our green beans. Let me just grab myself a bowl. We're going to put them in some cold water to sort of stop the cooking process right away. Little question, how do you know how hot the chili is? That's a very, very good question. It's kind of funny, there's sort of a scale to chilies, all right? And it all sort of depends on the size. The smaller they are, the harder their bite. Kind of like dogs sometimes, Really, the bigger they are, they become a pepper, like a green pepper or a red pepper. That's already a good, sort of a basic rule. Also, just go ahead and taste them. The red ones are a little bit more mild than the green. Okay, the red will be a little bit sweeter, little tiny bit more sweet tasting than the green chilies. The green chilies are almost chilies that aren't ripe, so they're very, very hot. And it's just a question of size. The smaller they are, the hotter they are. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put some water in. You see, I kept the cooking water of our noodles. Very important. We're going to use that a little bit later on. Okay, there we go. The green beans are good. My noodles are good. I'm going to go ahead and take out the water of my green beans because they're cooled off. They're nice and green. They're going to stay nice and crunchy like this. And we are just perfect. I said in the beginning that we were going to cut up the coriander just right before using it. And that's just because fresh herbs like this will have a tendency to sort of brown quickly. They'll get oxidized. They sort of oxidize in the fresh air. So let's make it, we just cut them up very last minute. Easy peasy here. Look, we've got the stems, I've got the leaves. I'm just going to twist like this, pull off the stems, put the leaves aside. I'm going to save a few for plating later on. We're going to chop those up really quickly. The easiest thing to do is just take them, roll them up. Just roll them up into sort of this big log style. And see, that's going to be easier because I've got a little bit of a little bit of thickness under my fingers here. If I had just 1 or 2 leaves, it would be very hard to cut. Go ahead, same gesture as before, same technique. Keep the tip of the knife on the cutting board, and we're set. There we go. That's perfect. All right, we've got everything. Our mise en place is done. You see, we've got all of our different veg. It's all ready. Our peanuts, our different sauces, the chicken. The chicken is here. Look at that beautiful chicken. That is fabulous. Now the chicken, we're going to go ahead and cut that up nice and finely. I'm going to grab myself a little bowl here. We're going to cut the chicken in just little fine strips because it's going to cook very, very quickly. So let's go ahead and just take out all these veg. This is perfect. We're going to need this on one side. This is all going to be cooked together. The garlic, the ginger, all of our little peppers, our chilies, our onions. Okay, we'll keep the green tips aside for later on. Now, let's go ahead and take care of the chicken. Now, we've got some fantastic chicken breasts here. Wonderful. One per person. That's absolutely the perfect quantity. You don't need more protein than that. That's really the perfect amount for the evening. A little technique here. For me, the easiest thing is to take just a good old knife, a knife with a sort of a long blade, a long flexible blade. And that's going to enable you just to cut very, very thin slices like this. Keep your fingers in and just sort of slide your knife right along the chicken breast. Just make them real thin because, again, we're going to be in a very rapid cooking. Okay, that's perfect as well. Go ahead and put that aside. Clean up our cutting board, and we're ready to get everything started. Now, I suggest you use a wok. If you have a wok at home, that's really practical for this type of a dish. If you don't have a wok, it's okay. A good, a nice big frying pan will definitely do it. But our wok here is going to be quite practical because it's got this big, huge surface. This whole surface is going to be right on the heat, so we can add a lot of ingredients. We can heat it out to a high heat and make sure everything's going to cook at the same time. So let's start up with a good old amount of olive oil right in the bottom. That's the one thing you have to have at home. It's not in my box, but that's okay. They provided everything else for me. Thank you, Atelier. So if I just have to put a little olive oil in, no problem whatsoever. Let's start with our chilies, a little bit of onion, the garlic, and the ginger. Now, the little onions, you can put them in now or later as you wish, but as I sort of mixed everything together, this is going to be great. We're going to heat them at a very high heat. Now, why would I start with this? I've got oil in here, right? Hot oil. And what I'm doing is I'm adding all this flavor. So actually what's happening here is that the oil is just getting totally infused with all this fantastic flavor. It's going to have this great chili taste, the ginger taste, the fresh ginger taste, and a little bit of onion and garlic. Don't want to burn it. Just want to get all the wonderful flavors infused. So let's be careful. Let's watch the heat. We just want it to start, sort of sweating, actually. The heat is going to go all the way through, and the actual natural water in the veg is going to start coming out, so it's going to become a little bit translucent. That's perfect. Lise asked me, can we use any oil? Actually, you can. I mean, not any. You have to use an oil that you can heat up to a high temperature. Here we've suggested olive oil, but if you've got peanut oil would be fine as well, or grapeseed oil is quite good as well. There we go. That's perfect. Now, let's go ahead and put in our chicken. That's going to take just a few minutes. Just give it a nice little coloration. About 4 minutes. Okay, I'm on high heat. I'm going to turn it down to sort of medium-high heat. Yeah, see as everything's getting nice and colored, nice and brown. We're going to brown our chicken. It's wonderful. It smells so, so good. I have all the chilies and the garlic. It smells just wonderful. We just want to make sure our chicken is cooked through. Remember, we did nice thin slices, so it's going to cook very fast. Look at that. That smells absolutely fabulous. Okay, once we're at this point, we're going to go ahead and add in our green beans, our nice little perfect green beans that had stayed nice and green, nice and crunchy. Fabulous. Now we're going to add a little flavor, a little more flavor. Got our peanuts, we'll get to that. I'm going to add now the pad thai sauce. All right, this is good because this is going to flavor everything. What is this pad thai sauce? You know what really gives that sort of characteristic flavor, fantastic flavor in a pad thai, is what we call tamarind paste. Tamarind paste is a plant, basically, and it's sort of a pulp. It's a brown pulp. It's kind of a funny looking thing when you see it in the Asian supermarkets, but it's got this fantastic citrusy flavor. And so the sauce is mixed usually with fish sauce, tamarind paste, a little sugar, and water. It's going to give that absolutely wonderful characteristic flavor of pad thai. So let's go ahead and mix it in. Got a few questions. How do I know if the chicken is fully cooked? That's an excellent question, Paul, because I'm sure you've heard warnings, careful, we have to make sure the chicken is cooked totally through. If you've cooked it very thinly, just go ahead and have a look. You know at least, 4 minutes. 4 minutes will be fine for this sort of thickness of chicken, but go ahead and have a look. You can actually cut through a slice if you want. If it's still pink in the inside, you need a few more minutes of cooking. Okay, pad thai sauce, that's perfect. Let's go ahead and get our noodles in there as well. Remember, we had our noodles that we've just left them sitting in the water. And I've also kept the cooking water. Remember that. I'm going to strain these out. Go ahead and add our noodles. Right in there. Give yourself a nice little mix. We're going to be adding some soy sauce. We're going to be adding some good lime juice as well. Our coriander. And then we're going to add some fresh bean sprouts. The bean sprouts are going to be added really in the end because I want them to stay nice and crunchy. Look at that. It smells absolutely fabulous. It looks fabulous. It's going to taste fabulous. That is sure. And it's taken, what, 15, 20 minutes. That's all. What common mistakes do people make when cooking chicken? That's another very good question. One common mistake is that they will often cut up their chicken, actually when they're preparing, cut up their chicken, raw chicken, and then come over and cut something else on their cutting board after. You saw that I cut the chicken at the end. That was the last thing I cut. You have to be a little bit careful with that sometimes because chicken can have, sometimes a few bacteria issues. So you're careful not to sort of have this cross-contamination. That's the one thing. The other mistake that most people do is that they're so afraid that the chicken's not going to be thoroughly cooked that they're going to overcook it. And when you overcook it, it's going to get really dry. This is chicken breast, right? So it's the, it's the tenderest part of the chicken. So, we're almost there. You just have to be sure, a little bit careful not to overcook it. Now, let's go ahead and put in the rest. We need a little soy sauce. What's fantastic is all the measurements have been done for me. I just have to pour in the little cup. Don't even have to think about it. It's all been thought out for me. We're going to go ahead and put a little lime juice in as well. Because that's Thailand right there. You need that fresh lime. It's amazing how that fresh lime and how the fresh cilantro is going to give us that fantastic flavor of Thailand. Go ahead and just run it under your hand like this. What that's going to do is it's going to detach the little membranes in there, and it's going to help us get a little more juice in more rapidly. Go ahead and just cut it in two. I'm just going to put my hand right over the top. And there we go. We're in Thailand right now, I can tell you. With this lime juice, it's amazing. It's also going to caramelize a little bit. As it gets into the bottom of the pan, it's going to caramelize with all the juices and all the different flavors. Absolutely perfect. Let's give itself a nice little mix again. Go ahead and throw in our bean sprouts. Make sure all of that's nice and hot. Fresh bean sprouts. That is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. While our bean sprouts are cooking, just let them finish up to steam. We're going to take care of our peanuts. We also have our fresh coriander right there and the tops of our spring onions. Look at that. I've got some great peanuts. You know what I'm going to do? I want to crush them up. But to crush them up a little more quickly, I'm just going to take one of these bags. Remember I said I'm going to put these aside. I'll probably use them for something else. Look at these. I've got these great little bags in which all of my little ingredients were delivered. I'm going to just go ahead and put those in there. Grab myself a rolling pin. And just give it a tap. There you go. Look at that. That's all done. That was done in 2 seconds. Didn't even need my knife on that one. That was easy enough, that's for sure. Now, let's go ahead and put in the fresh coriander right over the top. The tops to our spring onions. This is fantastic. I love this. It is so, so fresh. And you know what? We've done it ourselves. We know exactly what we put in it. It's all fresh and delicious. Right there already. The chicken's ready. Everything is perfectly cut through, perfectly cooked through. There we go. I'm going to take it right off the heat. And we are all set. Look at this. I'm just going to clean up a little bit. You know what? At home, you're ready. Everything is ready to go right to the table now. Make sure everyone's ready. Look at that. Dinner is served in exactly 30 minutes. That's perfect. When we've gotten home from work, pull out a few ingredients, get them together, cook them up in the wok. Just sort of follow the different techniques. You know, make sure you're doing everything in the right order. And you are set. Look at this. I've got a little bit more lime. I love that. I'm going to go ahead and chop it up. I think that's so pretty to sort of serve some lime quarters right in our dish. I've got a little bit more cilantro. I've got some more tops to my green onions. And we're all set. And, of course, my great peanuts. There we go. Perfect. Okay, let's go. Let's go grab ourselves a nice big bowl. Pad Thai is, you know, typically served in a bowl, not really in a plate, but in a nice sort of soup bowl. Go ahead and grab one here. You want to make sure you serve it nice and hot. If you wanted to do it a little bit in advance, you know, if maybe at home not everyone's ready to go to the table, what you can do is cook up all the vegetable and the chicken. Just let it sort of infuse and get all this great flavor, and then do the noodles just right before you're ready to serve it. Go ahead and do the noodles, and then just make, you know, sort of saute the noodles in there. That way the noodles will stay nice and fresh and not, you know, not too mushy. Remember I was telling you about the sort of mushy part that we didn't want to have. Okay, let's go ahead and plate this. Look at that. I said it's for 2 portions. It's 2 very generous, delicious portions, that's for sure. Fantastic portions. I'm going to go ahead and take my little, let's go ahead and put some chicken in first. Want to make sure we do a nice plating of this. You know, it can be everyday fantastic food, but we can also make it just well plated and just beautiful. That's what makes cooking so much fun. Let's go ahead and take our noodles. Pad Thai. Who doesn't like Pad Thai? I mean, we all love that. Look at that. Fabulous, fabulous. 2 portions. It's very, very well served, I would say. Nice quantity, nice amount. I know at my home they love this. My son absolutely loves this. You know, it's healthy. That's what's great about Pad Thai. Just the right amount of protein, fresh vegetables, just the right amount of noodle. You know, you've got some good energy there. You've got everything you need. Absolutely perfect. Let's not forget the peanuts. Love these. Crushed peanuts right over the top. Let's go ahead and do a little bit more lime juice. I love that. Love the lime juice. Little squeeze of lime juice right over the top. You can even sort of put this out on the table and everyone can, you know, add what they want. I'm going to put a little wedge of lime as well. Look at these, my little green tops over the top here. And let's finish up with just some fresh coriander. Not even going to chop it, just going to go ahead and put it right over the top. These fresh leaves to make it all taste delicious. I have a feeling, in my home anyway, I wouldn't have to ask, I wouldn't have to yell up the stairs, dinner's ready, dinner's ready. They'll be running down to get it right away, that's for sure. I'm sure the same thing at your house. Now look at all we learned today. You had this fantastic recipe. Right here, you had the recipe for the Pad Thai chicken right here. But we learned tons of things. We learned how to peel the garlic. We learned how to peel the ginger really quickly. We learned how to crush those peanuts up in just a second. Make sure you take degerm the garlic. We learned how to sort of do everything in orders. Make sure everything's hot at the same time. Make sure our green beans stay nice and crunchy by putting them in cold water. There you go. Even everyday food it can be fantastic. Just give it a ton of taste. Follow our little instructions, and really, it's a fantastic thing. You're ready to have a fresh, delicious dinner in 30 minutes. Right on the spot. What else have I got in this box? So we've got the recipe. I've also got my order form. This is great. You can also, I picked this up as well at lunchtime. my order form so I can sort of plan my meals for the whole week. That, as a mother, is an amazing thing. You're working all day, you know exactly what you're going to have for dinner. That's going to be such a time saver for me. And this is too funny. They want us to go ahead and, you know, take care of our, you know, use our social network. A little competition, a little photo competition. So I'm going to take a fantastic Instagram photo of this right now, go ahead and hashtag it and put it right on Instagram. And I can even win 50 pounds. Incredible. I think this is a little discount card as well. If I buy 9 of these, I get 1 free. No, everything's there. Everything you could possibly imagine with Boxed In Chef. Thank you so much. I hope you're ready to have dinner because I certainly am. I'm starving. And it smells so good. And it's warm. And it's just ready to be eaten. I hope we're going to see you real soon for another Boxed In Chef at iChef Kitchen. Bon appétit and see you real soon.